Hello everybody, I am Tom and you are watching me play Path of Exile. So today I wanted to go over the sword that I crafted for my Smite Slayer build. I want to make this video for 3 reasons. Primarily, I want to show off the cool new sword I made. For reference, this is the cool new sword I made. Secondly, I want to show off how I crafted my cool new sword. And third, I'm kind of interested if there was a better, mainly by which I mean cheaper, way of crafting this cool new sword that I've got. So time for the meme. I'm kind of new to Path of Exile. I only have 1,250 hours in this game. So, if possible, I've missed a way. It's definitely possible that I've missed a way that I could have crafted this more efficiently. Honestly, the only thing I can really think of is maybe fossils. Like if I dropped my essence mod and just did fossils instead, maybe that could have ended up being cheaper, I'm not sure. But if there's anyone who is better at crafting than me and can see a way that would have been better, let me know in the comments. I'd love to actually know that, because I always like getting better at crafting in this game. Learning is always good. Also, before we get started, if you end up liking the video, please leave a like, consider subscribing, all that kind of stuff. Thank you. First off, let's go over the total cost. I bought about 200 Essence of Zeal. I used slightly less than this, so it was close to like 180, 190, which at the time cost me about 6 Divine. I spent about 1.5 to 2 Divine on Primal Catalyzed Life Force. And I spent 48 to 50, it was about 48 Divine on Metacrafting on the bench. Specifically doing Suffixes can't be changed. We do that quite a bit during this craft. It's worth noting, I'm pretty sure you can do Suffixes can't be changed with a beast craft, and it ends up coming out to about half the price. It's about 1 div per transaction, as it were. But that involves trading for beasts, going to the menagerie, doing the craft, coming back to my hideout, doing a harvest craft, possibly failing the harvest craft, going back to the menagerie to do the metacraft again. In short, fuck that noise. I'm not doing that. It's too much. I will pay double the price just so I can do it all in my hideout. And finally, I spent about 12 Divines on 3 Crusader Exalted Orbs. Now you might notice, wait, why 3 Conqueror Exalts? I failed the first 2. The first 2 Crusader rolls ended up failing. I've essentially got a 1 in 3 of getting what I want. I got the worst version 2 times, so I was like, well, okay, I have to start again, I guess. I also got actually pretty unlucky with the rolls. With the Crusader Orbs, I had about a 75% chance of getting what I wanted. I think it was 74% chance to actually get what I wanted from those orbs, and I failed twice before hitting it on the 3rd one. Anyway, so the total cost was about 68 Divines, with 2 unlucky gambles that ended up with 2 extra swords. I did actually end up selling those swords. One of them sold for 50 div, and the other one sold for 25 div. So technically speaking, I profited from this. Although I will say, I feel like the guy who bought the sword off me for 50 Divines was kind of scammed. I feel like it's probably only worth like 20 to 30 in my mind. But I just listed it for 50 and it sold within like, I don't know, a couple of hours, so cool, I guess. Moving on to the actual crafting process. We start with a jeweled foil. You can technically only need an iLvl 82 for this craft. It's worth noting. Most of the time, I think I used all iLvl 86s because I only ever craft on 86s, because then I never have to check, because the highest iLvl you ever need is 86, so I always craft on 86. But technically speaking, I checked afterwards, you only need iLvl 82. It's also worth noting that you could use an overqualityed foil for this, because you would actually get more critical chance, which is probably worth it. I didn't do that, and it's also relatively cheap to get like a 28 quality. It's like 1 Divine each, and it is strictly speaking better. So for our first step, since we're using essences in this craft, it has to be our first step. So we want to use Essence of Zeal to give us Essence tier attack speed. What we're looking for our second suffix is either T1 critical chance or Tier 1 critical multiplier. If you hit both, fantastic, you can skip the next step, but that's pretty unlikely. So what we're going to need is either Tier 1 crit multiplier or Tier 1 critical chance, and then an open suffix and an open prefix. It should look something like this. If you have full suffixes or prefixes, you can actually just throw in an almond orb and pray. If you hit lucky, then it'll get rid of the thing you don't need, and then you're fine. If not, you just have to go back to stage 1 and keep applying essences until you get back to having either Tier 1 crit or Tier 1 crit multi. Step 2. Now we want to finish our suffixes. So we want to go to the crafting bench and we craft Suffixes cannot be changed. This costs 2 Divine Orbs every time you do it. It's notable that Suffixes can't be changed does not prevent you from adding a suffix, which is what we're doing here. We then go to the harvest crafting bench and we spend 150 blue life force and we click reroll critical. This guarantees that you're going to hit your other missing critical suffix. So if you had critical multiplier to start with, this will give you critical chance, guaranteed. If you had critical chance, it will guarantee critical multiplier. So you want tier 1, so it's essentially a 1 in 6 chance every time you do this. If you hit a lower tier, you need to go back one stage and reapply essences and start from the start again. It is worth noting, if you get a lower tier, it is worth just throwing on an annulment orb, because if you annul the lower tier crit, it is actually worth it. Like, it is technically cheaper than going back and starting from scratch, because annulment orbs are quite a bit cheaper than the essences you're using. But this is the end of step 2, and our suffixes are done, so we should look like this. Moving on to step 3, now that our suffixes are done, we want to add flat lightning damage. Once again, using harvest crafting, we can guarantee flat lightning damage. It just takes 50 primal life force on the craft lightning modifiers. The only lightning modifier that can exist is flat lightning damage, so you're guaranteed to get it. And you have to save your suffixes before you do this, obviously, so between every single one of these crafts on the harvest bench, you have to craft suffixes cannot be changed. This can get expensive very, very quickly, particularly if you're not paying attention to how many you're actually spending, because if you're just clicking it on the crafting bench and not thinking about it, you will go through a lot of divines very quickly. But flat lightning damage has 10 tiers, with lower weighting for tier 1 to 3. So tiers 4 to 10 actually have the same weighting, but 1 to 3 are noticeably lower. Because of that, at this point, to save divines, I'm willing to accept any roll of T3 or higher, which is a 15% chance. So to get either T1, T2, or T3 is a 15% chance. However, if you fail, you can simply recraft suffixes can't be changed and then just do it again. If you want T1 specifically, I think it's... Oh, we're back. I just went and checked Craft of Exile. It's a 1.1% chance to get T1. I'm gonna settle. 15% chance sounds better. At the end of this, we should look like this. Notably, we need 2 open prefix slots, which should be fine / easy most of the time with harvest crafting. Generally speaking, it only is going to add that lightning modifier. So you should be left with the 2 open prefixes, which should all be fine. Moving on to step 4. This is the penultimate step. Next is the big gamble step. Because if we fail here, while technically speaking, the sword is not bricked, you can go back and recraft lightning and just keep doing step 3 over and over again until you get what you need, but it will take a long time. It is cheaper to start over from scratch. If you try and fix the sword from here, it actually ends up being really, really expensive. I think almost guaranteed to be more expensive than just starting from scratch on a new sword and going all the way back to step 1. But we are going to use a Crusader Exalted Orb. Now, the Crusader Exalted Orb has 3 possible options because we're guaranteed a prefix because our suffixes are full. And the 3 we have is increased physical damage as well as having leech. That's a loss. We don't really like that one. The next 2 are fine if we get. So we can get lightning penetration. This is the really big win. High tier lightning penetration on this is a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage. And the third option we have is getting hybrid lightning penetration with flat lightning damage. Obviously, it's not as big of a win because the lightning penetration you get is less, but in favor of that, you also get some additional flat lightning damage, which is fine. So this is still a win. It's not as big, but it's still pretty damn good. My first 2 attempts landed on the physical damage. It is worth noting that while most of the added physical damage will be converted to lightning damage if you're using Smite anyway, because Smite just converts to lightning damage, and more leech is nice, the other 2 options will blow it out of the water for total damage. Like, the increased physical damage adds a little bit of damage, nothing insane. Step 5, the final step, we need to craft hits cannot be evaded. You can just do that in crafting bench, no problem. And also you want to go to the harvest crafting bench and you want to craft on quality is giving you crit chance rather than added flat damage. And after those 2 steps, you're completely done, the sword is complete. This sword swap specifically gave me about 24% increase in my total DPS according to POB, so that's nice. I'm happy, I'm very happy with that. But that's it, that's how I crafted my sword, that's my cool sword. Let me know if I can do anything better. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, please leave a like, consider subscribing, and as always, thanks for watching, I shall see you next time. Oh, and also, if there are any guru crafters out there, let me know if I'm dumb and I could have done this cheaper and or better, because I always like learning. Okay, bye guys.